So he is. But, and I disagree with their overall premise, but they do bring up a great point because when people will, like you just said, in key moments, Peyton Manning, even being the worst quarterback in football, was still able to throw two end zone touchdowns, obviously end zone, but two touchdowns to Owen Daniels against the Patriots.
Yes, that is true.
Tom
Against
Brady
Jamie Collins, I think.
Moments, absolutely, 2 times, freelancing. But these guys, they're so smart and they have such a knack for the game that, yes, in key moments, still, I'd say at 50 years old, if you tell me I need one drive to get down the field and score, yes, give me Amendola on the field, give me Brady on the field. But we're getting to a point, as we've seen this year, as you saw in our losses, we are not that well-oiled machine to the point where we are playing a home AFC championship game to just need to beat one mediocre team at home to get to the AFC championship game. And that is where bringing in guys like Amendola doesn't carry much weight because, yes, if you told me, all right, for this game, we're bringing Jules, we're bringing Dola, we're bringing broken back Frankenstein Gronk and Deion Branch at 40-something years old.
Yes.
Hell yeah, like that team can win a playoff game. Even right now, I think it could. But that's not getting you through a 16-game grind when Kansas City's not going anywhere. Houston's not going anywhere. Indianapolis has a lot of money to spend and a great offensive line. They could do damage too. There's a lot of good teams.
Yep.
Tennessee, you don't know what's going to happen. And that's where you need young guys. We've whiffed so much in the draft recently, and you can only whiff in the draft for so long. There are so many guys veterans you can sign off the scrap. People will give you one good year. And you're trading away picks and whiffing and N'Keal Harry and taking, who did I see? We took Derek Rivers, one pick ahead of Chris Godwin.
Is the jury still out on Derek Rivers though?
Who knows? Come on.
And then what about has the jury deliberated on Sony Michel?
Running backs are useless, especially in this system anyway. So
agreed, dude. I agree. You get Burkhead, and he's a better value than Michel, and you draft him in the first round.
Yeah, you can only whiff on picks for so long before it bites you in the ass with a 42, 43-year-old quarterback. It just doesn't work that way. And Belichick's system is good. And I think no matter what, I think we've proven that the Patriots, no matter what, will win double-digit games. But do we want to become, I don't know.
We can't survive wild card weekend. We can't keep doing that.
Do we want to become the Bengals, the Marvin Lewis Bengals? Is that who we want to be?
Unless we get younger, we're not going to be able to win wild card weekend, divisional weekend on the road, then championship game on the road.
We need to become more dynamic.
Yes.
There was nothing dynamic about this team on both sides of the ball. I think it was fool's gold. Our defense is good. Stephon Gilmore's good, great cornerback. But I don't think Kyle Van Noy anywhere else is what he was. Same thing with Landon Roberts, Danny Shelton. Just go down the list of all the guys on our team who are great. Jamie Collins, look at him. He leaves, he's shit, comes back, he's great.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. I think we have a good enough system. I still think Tom has enough in him where if the chips are on the table, he can still pick them up.
Yes.
But you need to build around him the same way the Broncos built around Peyton Manning in his final few years.
Yeah, and I agree. I think you made a great point when you said, the Patriots are they're like, they bring back Branch, bring back Troy Brown, and they think that they can just put pieces together or ride with their guys and win. And it's almost like what they've done this past year is they're like, oh yeah, we have guys that we've won with in years past, and they're going to be able to do it even at older ages. And they I think their thought was, yeah, we have Brady, we have Edelman, they'll get it done, those are the guys. And then they couldn't get it done, and no one else could step up, and then when no one else steps up, they're effed, right? So, sure, having Amendola and having Hogan works when you have other guys, that could be suitable and just kind of get the job done. You have Malcolm Mitchell running around for a few games, and he looks fine, but then having Dorsett and having Mohamed Sanu is a little different when those don't appear to be clutch guys just yet. But the reason I'm thinking Amendola is the play right after. So, and this is what my dad said earlier today to me too. He said Brady to San Francisco, and I said why? And he said Brady would have made those throws in the fourth quarter to be able to at least regain the lead at some point. And then I said, yeah, you're right. He does turn it on when things matters most. And he did turn it on against Tennessee. However, I think a dropped pass on a 2nd and 6. I really think if on that 2nd and 6, if that's caught, that kind of does swing momentum a little bit. And then right after the 2nd 6, it's a drop by, or it's a lack of separation by Harry, where I feel like if we had one more guy that at least knows how to get open, right, on 3rd down, that could be a game changer. And there's just not. But how about this? You're saying Amendola's too old, but you know who is a free agent this year? I believe Cole Beasley is.
Same thing, honestly.
He's 4 years younger.
But in a vacuum, yeah. Do you want Cole Beasley / Danny Amendola / insert white slot guy here? Yeah, I'll take him. $3, $4, $5 million, hand him over. Brady can make him work. He'll have 60 catches for 700 yards, and you might make a big play in the playoffs.
But you say more explosive. Where can we get more explosive? Who's out there to get more explosive? Because, look, we're going to, at this point, I'm looking at the free agent wide receivers. The first two that come up is Danny Amendola and Antonio Brown. And sure, we could joke all around about Antonio Brown and him playing for a prison team. But in all likelihood, I really don't think he's going to be playing for an NFL team.
No, he's not playing in the NFL next year. He's not.
Right, he's not. It's just he's too much of a hassle. And he'd definitely not be doing it in New England after the bridges that he burned. So how can we get more explosive? A 90-year-old Des Bryant?
You rely on the greatest coach GM ever to either find someone in the draft, which I know he's been awful at,
especially at the positions that are supposed to be explosive. His last hit might have been the Gronkowski-Hernandez draft, and maybe after that the Ridley Vereen draft. I don't know.
But Branch was the only really good receiver he drafted. I think Malcolm Mitchell had potential, but other than that, absolutely. There's trades to be made. I don't know who. OBJ is always in the rumor mill. I'm not a big OBJ guy. I don't think we need that.
I don't think he's leaving. I listened to what Baker Mayfield said, and he sounds like that OBJ isn't going to be leaving. But, of course, we did have Gettleman say that OBJ wasn't going to be traded until he was traded. So you're right. Anything could happen, but it's not like and in what order, it's like the chicken or the egg. Is Brady going to wait for New England to try and show him something, or does Brady have to commit first? It seems as if he would have to commit first, obviously, since unless he wants to sit a free agent for a while and wait to see what the Patriots do, wait for them to draft and then sign sometime. I'm not sure. I don't know what the timeline is. So,
well, I think Brady. This is the biggest debate ever, and it's cliche. That, Brady wants to prove he can play well without Belichick, yada, yada. But how damaging do you think it looks if Brady goes to the Raiders or the Chargers and he looks old?
Yeah.
And he's hurt, and let's say he misses a few games and he's 4-11 and or whatever, and just looks terrible. 18 touchdowns to 22 picks, and that's his final year.
In the long run,
that would never happen in New England.
Right. In the long run, though, everyone would kind of scrap those last couple seasons and still be like, okay, yeah. Like, Brady is Brady in the long, but that would be horrible. And the last thing, honestly, and this is why I always defend Brady so much, is because he did have those moments, right? And even in recent years, whether it was the first Super Bowl win that I could remember, obviously, was the 2014 NFL season against the Seahawks, and he makes that awesome comeback. We have the awesome 28-3 comeback, and then against the Rams, he has that 4-for-4 drive where he throws to Gronkowski to win the game, and he just has all those moments. But then in recent history, it's just been un-Brady things have been happening, which worry me, and I don't want more of those things to happen. We lose back-to-back home games at Gillette Stadium. First to Miami Dolphins, which we would never do when we have a second seed clinch scenario on the line, and we lose that game. And then we have another game, Tennessee, in which Brady loses again to, like, I guess we could call him a disciple, right? The games where you're like, oh yeah. Like, statistically, Brady and Edelman, when they play together at home against the AFC, they never lost, and then they lost this year again to Kansas City. And then you're like, well, they're not going to lose 2 home games in a row. They're going to beat Tennessee until they do. And then I just don't want, you're like, yeah. Well, Tom Brady always has these double-digit seasons. If he goes somewhere else, he'll still do it because he's Tom Brady. Well, until he doesn't, and I don't want to see that happen.
It's sad to see, but I think that's what happens when you have someone. The reason why Tom Brady's so great, the reason why Tom Brady wins league MVP and throws for 505 yards in the Super Bowl at 40, comes back, wins the Super Bowl MVP at 41, and even at 42 comes out and is playing at least at a league average level, and he's won 6 Super Bowls. That's why he is so competitive. Yep. And I think Brady says he'll play till he sucks. No, I really don't think he honestly believes that. Because I don't think Brady will ever believe he sucks.
I think Brady, I agree. But I also think he keeps himself in a position where he would never end up like a Peyton Manning at the end of his career, like where he's just physically unable to throw the ball. And Chris Sims said it too. Chris Sims, he does give Brady a lot of grief, but he said the way the motion that Peyton's motion always looked a little bit jerky at times. He would never get the tightest spin on the spiral. Brady always known to be able to cut through the wind with his spirals. He had a strong throwing arm. He had perfect mechanics coached by Tom House. And Chris Sims said it. He's like, yeah, like if the playing quarterback was literally just about standing in a clean pocket, like if you had no pressure around you, Brady would be able to throw the ball like that till he's 70 because that's the type of motion that he has and that's the type of arm strength that he has. That part's not going away. It's the legs. It's the not wanting to get hit at 43. It's those things. And it is also, getting help too. And I think that what would you have said, and it was almost like this last year, when, the Patriots did look horrible up until about week 15 in the 2018 season, that is. We lost to Miami. We lost to Pittsburgh, where Brady made one of the most un-Brady-like things ever, where he tries throwing it away but couldn't get it out of bounds. Remember that? Against Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
And then we get it together against Buffalo. We get it together against the Jets. And then that bye week. And they were like, yeah, Brady went to Tom House for that entire week and just refined. And Romo's like, it's like a golfer, after a long season, you might have gotten a couple of kinks there, and it's just to smooth it out. I wonder, we could play games all day like this. If he had like that extra week, you refine some things with Tom House. Apparently his ankle was injured in week 17 against Miami, or his foot was injured, which is why, if you noticed, he used different colored shoes in week 17. And I'm like, where are those red clunkers that he always wears? Well, that was why he had a foot injury, apparently. He heals up. Edelman heals up. A week off, Tom House, and then hosting a divisional game at home. I don't know what would have been different, but you're right. Going back to your original point, we do need to get more explosive. I still don't know how. Draft, you think?
Okay.
But I don't know.
You said that Tom Brady would never want to be Peyton Manning in his last year.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Peyton Manning won Super Bowl, what is that, Super Bowl 50?
Yes, it
Peyton
was the
Manning
50th.
won Super Bowl 50. Okay, now I wish we did. We don't know Tom Brady personally, but if
he
you were
lives
to
in
ask
Greenwich
Tom
now,
Brady,
I might soon know him.
Well, if you ask him, say, Tom, would you rather have the 2007 season, 50 touchdowns, perfect season, but lose in the Super Bowl, or have Peyton Manning's final 2015 season, 7 touchdowns, 17 picks, or 9 touchdowns, 17 picks, but win the Super Bowl? What do you think Tom Brady would pick?
Oh man, I'm just gonna share my thoughts out loud while I think through this. Manning missed 6 games with his plantar fasciitis or whatever, right? Could you ever picture? And I remember that Sunday night game in Denver when we got our first loss, and he was walking around in that boot, and I'm like, could I ever picture Brady missing? Like, whether he snaps his ACL and LCL, MCL, whatever it is, he's out for the season. He was in the locker room that next day, he said, after he tore the ACL, trying to take 3, 5, 7-step drops. And Randy Moss is like, what are you doing? And Brady's like, I'm going to see if I can play. Brady would never be sitting out, first of all, for a couple of weeks because of a foot issue. That's just, I couldn't see it happening.
That was not the foot issue. He threw 5 picks Kansas City.
Yeah, all right. Maybe it was a cover-up.
Of course it was. It was a performance issue.
Could you
and they
picture
saw Brock Osweiler
the man with one of his